Big shout outs to every firstborn watching this video. If you're a firstborn and you are watching this video, I want to know that you guys are heroes. Like, you guys are like, I
Like
don't know.
if you're firstborn, whether you're the first daughter, whether you're the first son, I want to tell you that you are doing well. And I think because we're also a firstborn actually, so we could relate more to what every firstborn are going through. So that's why we are saying, like, if you have anybody that is a firstborn, especially if you know they grew up from a very poor background, I think you should give them a hug right now. And I want you to know that you are doing well. Like, you are not a failure, and you are doing more than enough. Like, you are not lazy, and that doesn't make you feel less of yourself.
Like I feel to everyone watching, like firstborn, if you are from like a rich background, I feel like every firstborn can relate to this video. But people that come from a very low background as a firstborn, when we're like the second parents that is doing everything, that we get mature at a very young age, I feel like you guys are like doing so well. Don't let people tell you that you're not doing well. Like, you guys are doing so well.
Yeah, this video is gonna be very super vulnerable, and we'll be talking based on our own experience, and I'm very sure that a lot of people will be able to relate to it. I'm not saying that the firstborn that come from a rich background will not be able to relate to it, but I just felt that as a firstborn that come from a rich background, and as a firstborn that come from a poor background, we all have privilege that some firstborn that come from a background have, that we are not privileged to have. And we also have a privilege that as we come from a poor background, we have that those rich people cannot. So, but we, because we come from a very poor background as the firstborn, I'm not saying that we come from a very poor, but like, there are some things that at
You
least
know, when we are thriving,
when we're
like
still thriving,
struggling for things.
they are solving for things. So I feel like you that are in that aspect will be able to relate more better to us. This video is actually very super vulnerable. That's why you see us like structuring, because it takes like a lot of strength in us to be able to do this video out there. And I know a lot of people will be able to relate more, especially when you're a firstborn. Even sometimes you might not even be a firstborn, you might be the middle child and be the one
taking all the
responsibilities, or being the one taking that responsibility of being the firstborn. Well, even though you might not be the firstborn, but mostly it's based on firstborn. Is that a first son or first daughter? We actually jotted down a lot of things here that we'll be talking about. But firstly, I think we'll first talk about our own experience, so that you guys can understand and relate more better to us. I feel like if you are not in someone's shoe, you will not be able to talk.
Like, you won't know the pain a person is going through.
Exactly, and you'll not be able to talk more better on it. Sorry, excuse me. But I feel like if you're in that someone's shoe, you felt their pain, you know what to talk about, and you know how they will feel. So that's why we're able to do this, because we can relate to it. We will never do a topic, or we never talk about something that we've never experienced.
Exactly.
Because there's a way you will talk about something that you've never experienced that will be different from when you've experienced it. We've experienced this thing, and that's why we'll be talking about it today.
Firstly, is that me and my twin sister, we are the firstborn of our parents. We have two younger siblings. Actually, before we lost our dad, is like a deadbeat father. Actually, so we don't really have this father to daughter relationship, like, because he's not doing well in our life. So we are
Like,
not
he
really.
was not really like that in our life. So it was not really like that in our life, even before he died. So I wouldn't say we have him in our life.
Exactly.
Like, I don't think we ever had a conversation together, even when he was alive. So talk less of when he was not alive. So Manchester and I grew up seeing only our mom as the hero. Like, we grew up seeing our mom carrying the bundles of two people, and like our siblings now, we have like a very large gap,
Like a very big gap.
big gap between us, because we are like 10 years older than the first one, and we are like 20 years or something older than the last one. So literally we are like their small mommy, right? So when we grew up knowing our home to strive hard. Like, she was working, as a single parent, it's get hard. I know whether you have someone that assists you, or whether you don't, especially when you don't even have someone that assists you, it's very hard.
Sometimes when you have, I've seen some single parents that they have supporters beside them, like maybe they have a brother or a sister that is assisting them. Like, I'm not saying that maybe they are not going through something, but when a single parent is the only one, like, doesn't have people like a support system, we're not even talking about the husband aspect, we're talking about people like maybe elder brother, or people that are just there for her, is very much okay. But when you don't have that kind of thing, that's the kind of person my mom is. She's the only one that when you grow up, you met your parents in some state, that's what you like see them for. My mom is the only one like struggling for us. Like, that's what we see her like. we see are
You
going
know,
through.
when we are with our age mates and they're talking about, oh, I've still money from my mom's purse, oh, I want to buy something like this, we look at them and we felt like they kind of get lucky. Not like we are trying to compare their lives to ours, but there's no way we can't compare lives. Like when you see someone that has like that have a privilege that you don't have, you compare like, oh, you are enjoying it. I know that they might have their own bad side too, but like at least you compare. Because my sister and I, when we grew up, we saw our mom like struggling very hard, and it's not even easy when you have two kids at the same time. Going to school, you have to feed two mouths even before the rest. So there's some privilege that there's sometimes my sister and I will want to buy some things. Like, when we see new clothes, we'll be like,
Or even things to
or even
eat.
things to we'll be like, oh, no, let's not tell mommy. She's working so hard. So we drive ourselves a lot of things. Not like because we didn't want to tell our mom, but because we know
What she's like
what she's like going through, and we know what she's capable of doing for us. Yeah, our mom made sure that we had like the best education. Like she strive for us to have like the best education to our capability. Let me put it in that way.
Like I want to I know this is like very vulnerable post. I want to give it to all mothers that like single mothers out there that you guys are like you are big, you are like I don't know what to call
Like
you guys. You guys are like big. Like I always give the kudos to my mom. Like before my meeting start, we were done with high school. My mom did all kind of jobs. Like my mom is kind of person, like even she prefer us eating and she's starving. Like if my mom is only having like maybe let me say like $1 like 100 naira, she prefer it's just being spent on us and she just like starving. I could remember sometimes when we were still in high school that she has to go and work like the jobs that is even more like very hard, but she was like I have to do it, it's for my kids.
some people be like they are not working. No, you are working. Like, but when the responsibility is too much than the money that you are earning, it feels as if you are not working. Like my mom has a very good job at hand. She's a fashion designer. She sews all our clothes even till now. But when responsibility is too much than the money that you are earning, it feels as if you are not working. Like my mom does a lot of jobs. Like I could remember at times, like when you grow up now, you started appreciating your mom for some things that you felt. Because I remember when we were still little, then like my mom, she could just sit down alone and just put her hand on her head like this and start like she's just in a trance. So then we'll be laughing, as a kid, we'll be praying, playing, and my mom will be like, she'll be like, why are you playing? Can't you think? So I'll be like, well, why should we think? But because then we didn't understand what she was going through. Then it was when we grew up now that we are like thanking her for what she has done for us. Because then she was like, if she gave us food to eat in the morning, I don't know how to put it, like before even we eat a breakfast, she's already thinking of what we're going to eat at lunch. And before we eat the lunch, she was already thinking of what we're going to eat at dinner. And before we even eat dinner, she was already thinking of what we're going to eat the next day. Like we grew up in a place. I won't call it poor family and I won't call it poor family. I would just say we are in between. Whereby we sometimes we go to bed on empty stomachs. And sometimes we don't even have
anything to eat for throughout the day.
anything to eat for throughout the day. I know I don't know how many people are watching this, but I think in Nigeria here we have one thing that we call gari. Gari is like I'm not saying that it's for poor people alone, and I'm not saying for people, but there's this delicacy that when rich people are eating it, you know how they eat it, and when poor people are eating it, you know how they eat it. So like basically that gari, you are supposed to take it with like sugar, milk, and you can take it with turkey
Or any different kind
any
of
different kind of thing. But then we even have to collect this thing on credit. Like we have to take it on credit. So basically we are trying to bring it so that you guys can understand what it means to be a firstborn from a very poor background.
like I could remember like my mom sometimes when we are very little we she used to think of what we're gonna eat the next day. Sometimes she would just say that she'll be thinking. I'm like then because we're still she'll be like, what are you thinking? She will be like, it's because of I don't know what we're going to eat the next day. Even I was thinking in our moment like little ones we can manage it, even though it wasn't enough day. As a kid our thinking was like different, but due to all what we see are going through them, it kind of get to us because there are some things that we see our mates doing or getting that we cannot get, not because our mom don't want to give it to us, but just because she can't afford to give it to us.
Exactly.
So it kind of like gets to us like we kind of like okay, there was sometimes that we want to get some clothes for my mom. I always give her that like anytime there's like any festive coming, like Eid, New Year, my mom always go all the way out. She prefer working overnight, doing 3 jobs, 5 jobs to make sure that also we put on a clothes, not to feel left out.
Like I can really try to remember that my mom doesn't put on like best of clothes during Eid. Like she doesn't care putting on the old clothes that she has just for us to be able to, there are a lot of sacrifice that's been made. So I'll stick, if I'm saying it again once more again, if you're a single mother out there taking the responsibility of two, and like you don't have, like you have maybe deadbeat husband or deadbeat baby mom, baby daddy, I want to say you are doing well. Like you guys are heroes. Like kudos to you guys, because it's not easy. Like you guys are the strongest woman on earth. So so we grew up knowing those kind of things, because like when our mates are talking, I'd be like, oh, I've steal money from my mom plus. I'm like, I've never steal. Like we've never, not like, there are some mischievous things that some like you do when you are sticky. Like there are some of the mischievous that we could not, it's not as if we could not do it, because when you know the background you're coming from, you know that especially when you lack financial resources, like it's made you brace yourself up for, like, okay, if you say you're going to steal money from your mom purse and you know that that's what you're going to use to eat, like this woman is not keeping anything.
Exactly.
Like she's literally very open to us.
Exactly. You have some parents actually that they are not like open to you, that that they are not even like striving out for you. But you literally have some parents that they are like this to you, like what they want and what they can give. So we literally know that the money my mom have is what we're going to, and she has already even when we're little, she used to tell us everything, like, oh, this money we have this, let us manage this to eat so things. You know what? Let's sleep empty stomach tonight so we can use this money to eat the next day. Like we could, so it didn't even give us the, we have already feel our pain. It didn't even give us the thing to say, okay, let me steal our money to go and get stuff. You understand?
Like I can remember there's sometimes when we were in high school, like they could ask for textbooks, like literary textbook. We wouldn't be able to go home and tell our mom, because we know she was struggling to pay for our school fee. We know she was struggling to put food on the table. So we'll be like, if you tell her that again, she'll be more depressed, because my mom was like always very, very depressed. Not like she wanted to be, but when you think about, oh, what are they going to eat? How am I going to pay their school fees? How am I going to pay for the rent bill? Their fee? Those kind of things made her like so much depressed. Like I could literally remember that when we go play outside and we come inside, we'll meet our mom always thinking. Like when she's not working, she's always like thinking. Like so those things made us like, made us felt the sympathy. And so when they ask for textbook at school, we'll be like, oh no, we shouldn't tell our mom.
So like we get beat up.
So we get beat up because of it. Like we get beat up every time, like mostly all of the time we get beat up because of not being able to, like, buy textbooks and things like that.
Sometimes when you have some parents that like going through those stuff for you, they kind of like pass the aggression on you, like maybe you are the one that is making them go through those stuff. But my mom never passed those aggression. She never even for once make us feel like, oh, maybe because she gave birth to us, maybe that's why she's going through us. My mom never for one day, we never even see it in action. She never for one day, even when she's angry with us, like throw it to our face, like, oh, if not because of you guys, my life wouldn't have been like this, or like.
My mom used to say like, you try like, it wasn't you guys' fault. I was the one that called you guys like to the world. So she was just like, so I need to take responsibility for what I called for into the world. So like those are things that we grew up seeing. Like I could remember sometimes my mom be like, oh, go to this next neighbor, let's collect this thing on credit. I could not go because I've collected like twice. But since you guys are kids, like they would still like still pity us, like as a kid. Like so she'll use us, like we'll go there and say, oh please ma, please give us this thing, we'll pay back, my mom is not around, giving those sorts of excuses. So at least for those people, so they will think because we are still kids, they'll feel pity for us and be able to give us those things.
Sometimes when you tell people that you are hungry, people kind of feel like maybe just like, oh, get something to eat. Like if you are go like hungry like 3 days, that even you don't even know when you are going to get the meal on the first, like you are literally like shaking before you eat. Sometimes we are going through those parts, like even when we see that Gary that we're talking about, we may go like we don't have anything for like 2 days, like we're on a marathon fasting, and the thing that we'll get next is
even when we get the Gary, we have to soak it a little bit for it to swell up, so that it can, I don't know, so that it can satisfy. Although like it will be satisfied, but at least
have the energy.
So can have the energy, because we know that it's very small. Because I remember that our mom, once we get the Gary, we'll measure it with spoon. Like 1, 2, 3. Okay, this is your own. 1, 2, 3. This is your own. 1, 2, 3. This is your own. I'm thinking about it right now. It's funny, but like, alhamdulillah. So these are things that we went through. Like, so when we actually graduated from high school, we had to started working at the age of 15/16 years old, because when because we had our siblings, so we knew that this was the right time to support our mom.
Like when we passed out of school, like Beauty said, we felt my mom like, oh no, this woman has already tried, because there was a time that she even has to like travel out of the city we are living in to go to another city to work, like so that she can get more money. So anytime because we are in high school, then we'll call her on phone. She's like, oh my god, I just get out from work now. I'm trying to work for another thing so I can get you some money. So in school, then we don't we get picked up for textbooks, but thank God we have angels in disguise of teachers then that they're like supposed to, they even give us food sometimes. They'll tell us like
they understand what we're going
through, like they understand, like they were there for us. They didn't let us feel some, if a teacher want to flog us due to a textbook or the other, those teachers like stand up for us and say, oh, don't worry, some get it for us. If they can't afford to get it for us, they let us be, you understand. So we kind to get a textbook to read from our age classmates.
So we borrow textbooks and read, like, so we borrow their textbooks, then read to be able to pass our exams. And
so due to all those stuff that we see our mom go through, so when we get out from high school, we pass out as 15/16 years old. That's when we are through with high school. So we started working at that very young age. I know people like, oh, 15 years is okay. I feel like to me, a 15 years old is not. I feel like
we are not yet mature
to start working. Like it's not that time, but we could see my mom, like she's literally the one, because then we already have our immediate younger sister that's follow us. Then she was like still like a little baby then, so we're like, we can't just leave all this responsibility. My mom is more putting food on the table, paying for house bill, lights, a lot of bills that comes with, you understand. She was the one, so we're like, we too, we have to do something to support her.
So we started working, like, to support our mom by by paying house rent with her, by sibling school fee. We started doing jobs. Like those jobs are not what we wanted to do. Like it's not like as if we are pushing our dream. We are supposed to like go to college, but we know that at that moment my mom is not like
she can't
afford to send two kids at the same time to college. I know how expensive it is to send two kids, so we knew that we had to work to like support her, and so we had to sacrifice our being going to college at that moment to work to support our mom, because we knew that going to college is just like putting her again in another in another struggling again. I don't know how to put it. I don't know how to put it. Like we have to make sure that at least to assist start, like to take a little bit of burden off her before we could pursue our own dream. So my sister and I started working at the age of 15, and I will tell you that it was like the most traumatizing
things for
us, because we are still little. Like a 15 years old is still a kid. I feel like I will appreciate this background that we came from, because I feel like it made us mature so early, and it made us see things very differently from our age mates.
Like it shaped us to what we are today.
Yeah, because there are sometimes when I sit down with our age mates, the way we think is totally different from the way they think, because some of them are privileged to be like, they don't even know how much their parents are paying for house rent. They don't know how their parents are doing for feeding. They don't know. They just only knew about themselves. But we already know at the age of 15. We already know how much our house rent costs, feeding, our senior school fees. Like there's sometimes we'll be like, Mom, don't worry, you don't have to worry. We just take care of the feeding. We'll be the one to pay for the house rent. Mom, don't worry for our senior school fees. We'll be the one to do it. Like we are trying to like
I feel like we're just like the husband to my mom. You understand? So we both, our mom and us, we always both sit down before we take anything. Maybe we want to get something inside, we'll both sit down. My mom will say, okay, I have this. Also will say, okay, let's put this down. So we'll both contribute together to pay for the house rent, feeding, and other expenses that come with it.
So I can remember that when it got to stage, because we have like two siblings, right? Like we said earlier, when it got to stage, we had to tell our mom, when we said like, the responsibility is still on us, regardless that we are still even working, because how many works can we do as a 15-year-old, 16 years old?
I feel like the first job we did, then they are paying us 9,000 naira. Is even 7,000 naira. Yeah. So they will remove taxes out of it, so you can see how the money is very little.
It's like very little.
And on top of the fact that we are working, we went through a lot of things in the end of our toxic bosses. You understand? Due to the fact that we are little, there are some things that we can't stand up for ourselves when we are working.
And not as if we can't stand up for ourselves, sorry. Not like as if we can't stand up for ourselves. We know to stand up for ourselves. But when you are working, because you know what you are working for, like we are always scared of getting fired. We are always scared of if we ended this job, now, when are we going to see another job?
And what are we going to
And
eat?
what are we going to eat?
How are we going to pay
How
our
are we going to pay
bills?
our bills? So that, I think that was what made us to endure those treatments then, because I won't like to be, my sister and I faced a lot of toxic boxes then. I feel like because they knew that we were still like a kid, so they were able to shit us in so many ways. You know, there are sometimes they are not supposed to talk to us in a vulgar words.
Imagine
Like,
like I still have the anxiety right now that even when I'm going to like like I'm going to like an interview and I'll start shaking, like I could breathe in so hard. Same with my sister, like I couldn't even, like I'll be so scared and I feel like how they're going to beat me due to what those people have let us go through at that young age. Like, you know, we couldn't, because if we know to kill those jobs, to keep like, okay, we're not working again, but we're like, okay, if you quit it now, to get another job is not that easy.
Exactly.
And to pay bills, to eat, are we going to just drop everything on my mom and feel like, okay, mom, you have to be the one doing it, when we know that she can't even,
You know, and we know that, you know, as you grow up to be teenagers, sanitary pad, you want to buy it. So there are a lot of things that we feel like we shouldn't bother our mom again with it. So we are doing it ourselves. Like buying sanitary pads, we don't go to and meet our mom, because not like as if she doesn't want to. Like she wants to, but you know, when you grow up seeing what she has went through and faced, so we are like, oh, my son will be like, oh, don't tell mom this. No, let's do this ourselves. Like, no, I think we should be able to do this ourselves.
you know, sometimes you have to, like, if you say that, okay, maybe because where she's working as well, it's not as if the money they're paying her is that big. It's still a little stipend, like it's not even enough, so we have to combine both of our own. So sometimes me and my sister are like, oh, you know what, let's just tell her not to pay for the house rent this time around. Me and you, let us take it, like out of our salary. Let's contribute like 3 times. You know how it is, like we always counting months. Like if we pay for house rent this month, we are always counting months, because you know we have gotten that idea, like, oh, okay, the house rent is going to expire like 3 or 4 months to this time, so we're always like working at before the house rent comes, so we can like gather money.
I remember that our colleague at works do tell us that once we collect salary today, like the next day we started acting like as if we've never collected salary. Like they'll be like, why is it that when you guys collected salary today, tomorrow, yes, we're already begging for us to borrow you guys money? I know that they don't understand, because you know, we mentioned at the kind of person, we are very resilient to the extent that we hardly tell people what we are going to, because we hate like pity party. We don't like people to pity us. Well, not like as if we, because I think, let me just put in a tell you that we don't like asking for help outside. Not like we don't want to, but you know, when you've grown up to be like you have to work to get what you want. So that's how we grew up to be. So I remember our colleague always saying, oh, why you guys are always like this? Like you guys are always like, we are always focused on money, because we know that where we come from, if we don't work, we are not going to eat. So that mentality was taught in our head to the extent that we are like, we have to just work. I think we work for, I think, from our teenagers years to our mid-20s. Yeah, we started working, and I realized at some point when we were going to our age, we started losing ourselves, because you know, there's this thing about when you come from this background, like that's what I want to tell to like the firstborn out there. Like my sister and I, because we started working and we know my mom are going through, it's just like when you have like a passage, and the passage is just like this, it's just enough for only one people to pass at that time to see the light. Let's say you're in the darkness and there's a passage that you have to pass to get into the light, like into the brightness, and it can only control one people. But due to what our family are facing, we have to like carry them all of us
together to
and we now become stuck
at the
at the
middle.
middle. Like
So
we
we're
could
not
not go out and we could not go back, so we are stuck.
So we're not like, so during those times that we're working, I told you we went through a lot of things that till now it even give us anxiety, depression. You know, we can't even like say we want to quit those jobs back then. Like I know some people like, oh, our colleagues like what we said, like, oh, why do you guys just ask for money? We couldn't even buy things. Like I could say, ah, you guys, you just collect your salary yesterday, you should buy things, like get yourself minerals, buy yourself a good food. But my sister
Well,
always,
that's that, because even before we collected that salary, we already had a lot of bill down that we have to pay. And
even
once
I've collected some, we have all debt. Like
we have a debt outside, you know, we don't have anybody that is going to feed us. So we're all working without, how will I say it? We are working, but what are we going to eat? Transport fare and everything. So we already have debt down. So once we collected the salary, we have to pay all the debt. And by the time we pay all the debt, we realize that there's no money left for us again. So we have to start working again for another month again and start collecting things on credit again. Let's not talk about the house rent and things like that. So you know, because you pay electricity bill every day, there are some things bill that you pay like every month, and so those things are down. So our colleagues be like, oh, at least when some of our colleagues, they are privileged to have, like, maybe they came from a middle class family or a rich family, so they are privileged to, like, they don't even know
They
that
don't
once they
pay
collect
house rent. They are not like paying. They are not like feeding any siblings. They just only their mouths,
only their
and they're only working to like pursue their own dreams. So it was like very easier for them.
So when they collect salaries, they just use it to eat, to take themselves out. But we can't do that. So they always look at us like, why are they working? Like,
I remember some colleagues will always tell man beauty that we should cut down our responsibilities. Like, no, you guys don't have to carry everything. You guys cut down some things so you guys can like do your things yourself. I was like, oh, it's not as if we don't want to, but it's hard for us to see my mom like crying due to the fact that we couldn't pay some things. Like, we can't like do it. Like, it's really hurt us. Like, they say, okay, I'll tell them like, okay,
like,
should we cut down?
say that done.
Done. Like, you say, okay, we should cut down. You guys should do this. Like, cut down. Maybe I'll say, okay, is it the outfit that I want to cut down? Or is it the feeding? Even what we're eating is not what we actually wanted to eat. We're only eating something so we can put something inside our stomach. It's not actually what that. Okay, some people like when they have money, they'll eat extravagant, like eat things, but also we eat things that is not what we wanted to eat. Is what we feel like, oh, if we buy this garment
that is available
like if we buy this thing, like we buy things that we know that
it can sustain
us, even though those food are not like good for the body. We kind of buy like, oh, at least it's better than having nothing to eat. So that's kind of thing that we actually go through during those times. So we sacrifice some things that many things that we're supposed to do for ourselves. We sacrifice it for our family. As the firstborn, we have to take those things.
Like I can remember there was a point whereby we were homeless because we were unable to pay for our house rent. Not like as if we are not saving up to time, but the responsibility had just smushed at that moment. So we couldn't afford the money for the house rent at that moment. So we had to like move out to like sort things out. So we started living in a box at that moment. So what I realized is that when we started telling most of our like colleagues and friends that we are homeless at that moment, they were like, we should come and stay with them for the meantime. But we are like, we can't bring all our families to their place because it's more of like putting a bundle on them too. So we have to tell them we have to decline it because I feel like we are kind of my sister and I kind of a person like due to what we've seen, like we know what we have been going through and things like that. Our kind of, even though if you want to eat something and our family are not there, we kind of think about what if they're still hungry? Are they eating? So we'll be like, oh, let's not eat this thing, let's take it home so that we can all share it
together. Us, like, even if it's small, so we're part of us sharing it, even if it's not enough for all of us, then for us to like eat to our own satisfaction, what about they are at home hungry, like starving. So that's how it
so we have to do that kind of thing. So we have to save up again for some while to get to get a roof under our head because it's not easy. I don't want to talk about that part. I think that was another story for another day. So I don't want to talk about that part.
A lot of people kind of like tell us during those times like, oh, you guys have to put yourself first. You guys, you have a dream. You don't have to like do everything. Just leave them alone. I was like, it's not as if we don't want to. But when you have a mother that she actually sacrificed her own life for us, so we can't like just feel like us two, we should not draw apart. Like we feel like we are not actually getting to that stage for us to feel like, oh no, this is the right time for us to like pursue our own dreams because we will have our dreams and goals, but or just like this is not the time. Like okay, there was some time during those times that my mom was working with one boss. That was very toxic. That there was no day that gone back that my mom would come out that she would not be crying. Like she's always crying. Like, and it's very very hurtful. Like she would just be crying. She's like, oh, if you tell her like, oh mom, just quit this job, you get another. She's like, oh, if I quit it before you get another one, am I going to just leave all the responsibility on you guys? No. Like my mom is always afraid. Look at like we couldn't even tell her what those bosses us were going through. Though the fact that she was going through it at our own workplace as well, because so when it gets some stage that there was when my mom fell sick, so she was like she has to go to the work. I was like, why will you go? You are sick. It's understandable. She was like, oh, if she did not go to the work, that the boss is gonna sack her and they will not give her a complete salary. Sometimes I was like, so it was very hurtful. So my sister and I, we cried that day and we told my mom like, stop it, don't worry. My sister and I will take we'll take those responsibilities pending the time that you get a new job. So my mom was very adamant. She was like, no, we should let her go, even when she was like at the verge of
like persuade her for like 4 to 5
days. So before she dropped the job. So when she dropped the job, we had the one for my mom not to feel bad we started carrying all of the responsibility. Like we pay, it's me and my sister that will pay house rent, give her feeding fee, money after, like sometimes
With our siblings.
with our siblings. Sometimes me and my sister, if money we have like from the work, we'll give it to them. Me and my sister will not eat before we go to work. We'll just tell them that they should use those ones to eat.
That they shouldn't worry
About us. That when we get to work, we'll sort ourselves out. Even when we get to work, sometimes we don't even eat till evening. Sometimes we have to borrow from our colleagues sometimes to eat. So those kind of things, we sacrifice our dreams. Not like because
Not like we
my mom is always like very like, oh my god, you guys have to go to college. You said you want to become an actress. You should this. But I was just like that. We know there's a time coming for that we can do those stuffs. But right now we have to like survive. Like it's just like in the surviving mode in those periods. Like we just have to survive. So it was like not like one people say that you should put yourself for mark, you don't just want, you just that circumstances that you are at that moment that
and they are telling you because they don't walk through your shoes, so they don't really understand what, because they don't understand what we're going through. Because if you have never been in someone's shoe, you will know where it ought. So we started carrying all those bundles, like, you know, we don't want our mom to feel bad about it, so we started carrying all those bundles. And it got to a stage I realized that we started losing ourselves. Like at the process of carrying those bundles, I realized that we are no longer ourselves again.
Like we noticed that we are not doing what we want. Like we're only just doing those jobs just to make money to pay bills.
So I called Wealth. I could remember then. I called Wealth. I said, Wealth, why are we working? And we literally had no answer to
like
it.
you know that some people, if they are working, like if you want to become a doctor, they will actually, like if they work in a clinic, even if it's not like they're not like yet a doctor, even if they are working in somewhere, they know that they are seeing themselves doing that job for a very long time. But also we're just doing
They were
jobs
just
like
working. Like we just working and working and working, and yet it was not even, you know, at least we realized at that moment that we are even working and still yet we are still struggling. Like it's more of like we are surviving. Like it's not still taking us out of that
like what our mommy went through.
Like we started going through it again. So I was like it's not, I understand that it can be exhausting as a firstborn. Like to get to a stage you start becoming tired. Not like because as we are human, we started becoming tired. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I don't want to become a firstborn again, because you know when you don't have anybody to lean on at that moment. So it gets to that stage, and I had to call with. I was like, well, what's going on? What this is not what we are again. Like what's happening? Like we just keep working and working and working, and at the same time we still struggle to eat 3 square of meal in a day. Like
it was
conveniently.
So, like you know, we are like, we're not even these jobs are not even like helping the matter. Like we're not seeing ourselves doing for a very long time. It's not even bringing us out of this struggling that we're going through.
And I feel like the more we kept doing the job, the more the responsibility kept getting higher and higher and higher.
And it's still like we're just
still stuck. So that's when we now decided that at least we should follow our passion while we still work.
So you know, during those time we do 2 to 3 jobs. So me and Betty we're not like, okay, you know what? Let's just cut those jobs down. Like let us leave those jobs like one. Then we should be using one part to like pursue our dreams, like our goals and everything. You know, we wanted to become an actress, we wanted to become model and everything. But we're like, we just have to start from somewhere. We have to start from somewhere before we get to where we actually wanted to be. So we're like, instead of doing those jobs that we don't see ourselves doing for a very long time, why don't we use a part to be doing what we want? Even so, we're like, okay, let's just start from somewhere. That's how we started our YouTube channel. And we don't even have a phone during those time, like to start the YouTube channel. So due to the fact that Beauty was writing stories, we have one of our fans, like she's like mother to us, she was one of the first person that got us a phone. Not like we don't have the money to get phones.
Exactly. Not like I said we don't have. But my sister and I were the kind of person like so this is the responsibility that we're going through. If we want to get something, we have to save for a year before we can get it. Because we have a lot of responsibility to take care of. So we can't, not like I said we don't have the money at hand at that moment to get it, but it will affect much of our responsibility. So we have to add, if we want to get a new phone, I can remember that before we started using the phone, we are like 18 or 19 before we started using the phone. Because not like we don't have the money, but the responsibility was just too much. But when we want to started having the phone, we had to like save, like, you know, just in Nigeria, you say, like, let's say we started saving like $100 naira in our money, but like let's say for $5, you started saving like those kind of amounts for a year to be able to get that thing. Because we know that if we are to remove that money at that moment, that exact amount is going to affect us in feeding, in expenses, like you
You know,
know,
the every other
and
expenses.
paying on expenses. So that's why we have to like, oh, we have to just do it like that. So things like that are coming in the way, and that's why we're like, okay, let's start from our YouTube channel, because we know we wanted to put ourselves out there, we wanted to be the first in our family to earn the six figures. So we are trying and we're trying to survive. I was like, okay, we can't keep doing this job, because the more we keep doing it, the more we just keep working and working, and it's not getting the result that we even wanted.
I think we don't even have time to go to audition because we're like we don't want it to become an actress, but we don't even have the time because if you go for audition, that's if you get paid immediately. Even if you are casted for a role, it's not immediately they started paying you. So we're like, why don't we start from somewhere? So when the woman actually, because she's like a fan of beauty on her story, so she's one first person that got us phone, a good this phone that we're using like to shoot. She's the first person that gets for. So we are like, we're so happy. So we're like, okay, this is like a step forward to start
Because
our.
it wasn't as if we don't want to go out, but we are like, who is going to feed us? Who is going to feed our family? We have no one to lean on to say, okay, we are going to an audition, they won't start paying you. So then who do you want to lean on? So we have like, okay, can we put our own two face out there? So that's how we started our YouTube channel. I remember we had to stop at some point. If you are like our old subscriber, you could remember that we had to do a video of being depressed because everything was just like clashing to another. So I think the one advice I wanted to give to the first one, because I could remember one of our colleagues, she said one thing that actually stuck with Beauty and I, like what and I. She said, when we collect our salaries, I told you that we already have debts that we are paying for and things like that. She was like, at times, you too, you have to put yourself first in some instance. I'm not saying you shouldn't take those responsibility, but put yourself first. At least once you get your salary, if it's just $5 or if it's just 200 naira, spend it on yourself without not thinking about your family for that moment. Just
Like
to
you
appreciate
just
yourself.
like you just not feel like we're just working for money. She
Like,
said even if it's like cake, then it's that immediately we just get out.
we
We
just
just
buy
buy
that.
that.
We should appreciate it for our own self
So,
and just stop thinking, oh no, that we should just stop working for money. That at least we should know that we're working for ourselves, because we could not buy anything for ourselves. So, and I think that's sort of okay. We now started cultivating that habit of at least once we get a salary, we buy. Not that we don't buy for families, but like once we get it, we'll be like, oh, let me just get a sweet for myself alone, and instead
like
of
just to appreciate ourselves, like we're working.
we are working.
Not like we're just working just to pay the bills. You're like,
alone.
okay, even if it's out of it, like let's just make ourselves happy out of it. Like, okay, if it's a cake, okay, let's buy this. Even if it's one thing that me and Betty will share, we just like, okay, it's still better than not like immediately we collect salary, we don't even get anything. We just like start paying debt and everything.
Yeah, we don't even remove any money from ourselves. It's more of like responsibility,
Responsibilities.
and not like I said, my mom did not go out to look for jobs, but she was getting old at that moment. Like she's getting, there are some things that you can do when you're still in your youth, and when you started getting like a bit older, you started getting not like she started getting a little bit sick, because some jobs are like too much for,
and some jobs they couldn't even employ her. They say because she's too old, so it's like very hard.
so
She's
she's
not
not
able
able
to
to perform
perform
very
very well.
well. So the responsibility is so on us, and I realized at that moment that we are losing ourselves. So I had to call Wealth, and we talked to an extent, like just to, because sometimes I'm just so glad that we came as a twin, because I always imagine how it would have been if we come as, if I was the only one or she was the only one. I don't think we would have been able to survive it, because we are just like like sometimes when what is getting the well into this kind of thing, I'll be like, oh, don't worry, everything's gonna be together. And sometimes when I'm getting the well into it, will be like, oh, don't worry, everything. So we have each other to rely
Like
on.
we're just like each other support system.
Because we never have friends. We don't have time to make friends. We don't have time to go out. We are always working. So we never that's why we don't have friends. Like I if I pick up my phone, I have nobody to call, because we never have time to make it, because we are always working and working and working. I used to give advice to all firstborn out there that even though you are working for your family, I think at times too, don't make that to go away from your own dreams.
Exactly.
As you're trying to
work to take the responsibility. Try to like make a road for yourself towards your goals as well.
so that you don't feel regretful
Exactly.
towards your family, because they are not the one. I'm not saying, but so that you don't feel like, oh, so
Because
all my
of-
life I just sat there without me not having a purpose.
Exactly. Like, and I'm so happy. Like, if you have siblings that they're not really appreciative of what you're doing for them, there's some siblings that they don't really appreciate. I want to know that you're not doing it for them. You are doing it for your own future kids. Like, I used to say something like, we are not born with a silver spoon, but I want our children to be born like they should be able to narrate that they come from a rich parent, like, and our younger ones too, like
I'm just so happy because our younger ones, like our sister, sorry, Like my younger sister, she doesn't have to go through it. She doesn't have to, like now she's about to graduate from high school, and she does not know how much we pay for house rent. Like she does not know about feeding. She just like, and
She
I'm so
doesn't
glad,
think.
because I'm so glad that she doesn't have that tale to tell, because we that we went through that tale, I will never wish it upon someone close to me, even our enemy. So I'm so glad our siblings, like, we are able to take that thing and they were unable to take it. I think that's one of the sacrifices of being a firstborn. Like, you have those expectations, like what I'm saying. Look at when I said we are like homeless. I could look at literally our family, and they will look at us like there's this way they look up to us, like, oh please, you are the one to bring us out of this
mystery.
mystery. Like they have this high expectation of us, like we should be able to do this for them. But not like they're saying it, or not like they're demanding it forcefully,
Or saying
but,
it out.
or saying it out. But sometimes when we are hungry and we had nothing to eat, I could look at my mom's face, I could look at our senior face, and they will look at us like, oh please help us, let's find something to eat. So that face alone makes us to have to go out, to struggle more harder to get things that we're going to eat. So not like I'm saying like you shouldn't do for your family, you have to do for them, because but at the same time, do not use that to forget the purpose of you. Like you're not a failure, you are doing more better. So so I just feel like I think mostly my advice to all the firstborn out there, like, it's going to get better. Like, you can't keep struggling and struggling. One day one is going to get better. Alhamdulillah, we are not where we are not where we used to be yesterday, but not like we are where we wanted to be now, but at least we are not where we were yesterday. Like, because before, if you are to find the ambassador for Gary, like soaking Gary, you have to meet us first. Like
Well,
we'll take the first position.
like if food can grow on egg, like we should have like millions of branches of those kind of food that we have like ate in the past.
Like, because I could remember that when we bought those Gary, we count it with spoon, like 1, 2, 3.
even till now, it has not really left, it's like a habit that we're getting to that. Even when I mistakenly sometimes, like, I started counting food like 1, 2, 3. I've just cautioned myself and said, no, don't.
I even think it has even become like a habit to me. I don't count, like, because, but due to those things, like sometimes I count food. Like when I'm taking food first, when I'm dishing food, I count it. Like, it's just because of what have happened. So I have the line now. I don't say that no matter what you're struggling, even though if you're a single mom, it's going to get better. Even if you are the first one, it's going to get better. It can never keep getting worse. I know at that moment it will feel like as if it's getting worse, or you are not even getting out of it. Trust me, we all feel that way, because that's what I'm always saying. Like, there's some point as a firstborn you have to put yourself first, not like neglecting your family. Because I just feel like it's just like what I said earlier. It's just like a narrow path that it can only contain one people, and you all are in need of help. But to get that help, you have to pass through that narrow to get out.
Like you have to put yourself out there to be the first person to remove your parent from the poverty. But
But
if
if you are
guys
trying
are like
to take
all
all
of
of them
you
along at the same time,
you just still be in the same
you
place.
just be stuck.
Like in that same place. That's one of the lessons we learn. Like, not like late, but that's what we learn. Like, we can't keep doing this. Like, we wanted to make our younger ones comfortable, but if we are still like being there, like doing
Like,
it,
just working and
keep
working and working without not pursuing our goal, without not trying to, to evolve.
like,
we
how are we going
just
to get out?
like, how are we going to get out? So we just keep being stuck in the same thing. So
And I want to give an advice to all the firstborn that they have the younger ones that don't appreciate them. I'm so glad that our younger ones, they really appreciate us a lot. So if you have a younger ones, don't feel bad that you are doing it for them and don't appreciate it. If you are doing it for yourself and for your future, like for your kids, because whatever you go through, you don't want your kids to even taste like a little bit of it. So we don't come out of a rich parent, but want our children to come out of a rich parent, which is us. So we are working for our children. Like, all the things we have gone through make us be very appreciative of things, that even little things, if you do small things for us. I think we get that from my mom. Like, we are very appreciative. Like, my mom can think, if you give my mom $5, my mom will thank you to the extent that you later block her up, because we are not, it's not as if that $5 we can't get to ourselves, but we know the kind of work, there are many months, years that it took us to
Yeah.
raise that money. So we're always very thankful if someone do like we're always very appreciative, because
Yeah.
they said if you have gone through darkness before, you appreciate light.
And I think those things actually shape us to be who we are today. Like, it made us strong, and it made us be who we are today, because our mates can never use any kind of amount to, like, to belittle us. Like, if I see someone doing something great, I'll celebrate them. I'll be happy for them. But I know that ours too is coming, and there's nothing you can use to belittle me, because I know that if I work hard, I'll also get it. Like, we'll also get it. So I think that's one thing that has shaped us. I think anything you go through in life is more of like a lesson. You make you learn, and it makes you more grow. I think that's why we matured. Like, when we even talk before we even get to our, because now we're in our mid 20s, when we even talk, people are like, oh, you talk more, you talk so wisely more than your age. And I think that's step from what we've like gone through. So, and if you have like, maybe your parents are not appreciating what you're doing, or maybe they're trying to like give you much more expectation, I want you to know that, understand it from their own perspective, like as a firstborn, not like as if they are intentionally doing that. It's just more of like, I don't know what to say, but like, I want you to know that they still love you regardless. They still love you. And if your siblings are not appreciating, I've seen some firstborn that complain about their sibling not appreciating them, things like that. They don't go through it, so you don't expect them to understand fully.
But trust me, they will one day
They understand.
understand and really give you the appreciation. I just want you to keep believing and hoping. We are not comfortable yet, but I always put in like, I always pray, we always believe that we are going to be comfortable.
And I'm just grateful that it's getting better and better
Before,
every day.
if we buy a loaf of bread that is just like this, we all share between each other. But right now, this loaf of bread, me and Betty will share it. Why the loaf of bread like this, my mom and our younger
Just
ones
like
will
having two loaf of bread now. Before, we all can only share
share
one loaf of bread.
So just that's just the way it is right now. Like, we are happy for where we are now. Wish we know that we'll be more happier. Like, I've always fundamentals that we'll be able to. We have not traveled out of our country before. We want to travel out, like, like go out to have fun, learn new things and everything. Yeah, we have not been able to like achieve that. Wish I know that very soon we'll be able to achieve all those things. So those are all of our goals that we are trying to work towards. Even if it's someone that sponsor, even if it's us that work towards it ourselves, like, we are really looking forward to it. So I want you to know that you are not alone in it. In whatever you go through, in everything, just know that you're not alone. And in every problem you go through, just know it's temporary. It's not gonna last forever.
Like, this too shall pass.
This too shall pass. Like, that's one of our like motto. Whenever we're going through our time, we always say that this too shall pass. We know that we can never be stuck in that place forever. So, and to every single mother out there, I want you to know that you guys are heroes. You guys are superwoman. You are strong. Like, trust me, you're going to reap the fruit of your labor. Like, no matter how it is, nobody is gonna take your place when it's the right time for you to be reaping your seed. And to all the firstborn out there, you never become the tail. You always be the firstborn. Like, you always be the first person to earn the million figures, to remove your parents, your siblings from that
And trust
struggle.
me, you might be a firstborn. And trust me, you might be a firstborn that comes from a very poor background, but that doesn't make you poor. You are still going to be rich. Like, once, just put your hope and never say, like, I feel like one thing that helped my twist and I is that we never said something negative to ourselves. We always think positive. So always think positive to yourself. Don't always feel like, oh, this is where I'm going to be for life, or this is how I'm going to die, or this is how I'm going to be. Like, trust me, it's going to get better, and that doesn't make you're still going to be rich.
Exactly. The regret in life is when you may be born poor because it's not your choice, but if you die poor, that is your choice.
Yeah.
Like, so you may be born in that family and you feel like you're struggling, but don't die there. Like, try to have it in mind that your children will be able to, like, the words
Not even your children. Try to know that even you will, and you, like, you'll be the one to break that generational curse.
exactly.
Like, you'll be the one to end this. Like, you are going to be rich, and your family are going to get that comfort, and so you can pass it down to your generation, so that they don't have to struggle. They don't have to tell that tale that you have,
or whatever you have gone through. So I'm gonna give you guys a big shout out. We hope you guys enjoyed this video, and we hope this video will reach the right audience.
I don't really know, but maybe we talk so far, but I'm just like, this is more like a most vulnerability post, and actually our phone died at some point, that and we didn't realize that it has died. So there are a lot of things that we've talked about that we have to just repeat them. So I know when you repeat it, you can't really get it like the way you've said it before, but it's still like the same thing, just like intermixed. So I hope you guys enjoyed it, because I'm scared of posting this, but regardless, you're still going to post it.
So I hope you guys enjoy it, and if you do, please make sure you give our video a very big thumb up, subscribe to our channel, please. Our goal is to hit like 50k or 100k subscribers before this year end. Like, that's our goal, so you guys can help us. And if you want us to talk more on any other thing, you can comment down below. So guys, adios.